So let's talk about our summary notes. Right after we finish going through this warm-up together, you'll have about 10-ish, 15 minutes to wrap up the type 3 that's due today, and then the last 20 minutes of class will be our quiz. What is the slope formula? Who's got that? Shamar? When you say and, what do you mean by that? Divide by? Good. Could I have written this a different way?
Yes.
What could have come first? Yeah, y2 first? Either is totally acceptable. Okay. How do we find a parallel slope? Faith? Sure.
I said the lines are parallel if only if they have the same slope.
Great answer. She said lines are parallel if and only if the slope is the exact same. So must have same slope. So if I were to give you an example of, let's say I gave you the slope 6. What's a parallel slope to m equals 6? And you're done. Very good. Exact same slope. What about perpendicular lines? Jeffrey? Very good. Must have opposites. Reciprocal slopes. So if we look at what that means, what does opposite mean? What's opposite? Good. Flip the sign. So nice flip sign. How about reciprocal? Yes. So if you're not sure about that vocabulary, write yourself a little note and that'll help you. So again, if I gave you the same example, m equals 6, and this time, again, I asked you, hold on. Let me get back to where I meant to be. I just didn't want this to be red, and then I messed up the whole screen.
What do you mean flip sign?
We'll talk about it. So let's see. I'm starting with m equals 6. So what I mean by flip the sign, if this was positive, the reciprocal slope is going to be negative. And then what's the reciprocal of 6? 1/6. And we're done. Number 4 is a great opportunity for us to really establish those 3 steps that are written on the whiteboard right now. Step 1, define variables. Step 2, I need 2 ordered pairs. And then finally, the calculations. There will be 4 of these questions on today's quiz. So the following table shows the number of points the Arlington girls team scored in their last basketball game, where T is the time passed in minutes. F of T is the total number of points scored after T minutes. Let's all make sure we're sitting up nice and tall and asking questions. Define my variables, Ayana. What do I have for variables? Careful. Variables first. What does X represent? So X is number of minutes, and Y is points. Now, very good. This is something we really want to pay attention to right here. What is that called that I just highlighted in yellow? Not an ordered pair. Starts with an I. Interval. So can I have eyes on the screen? What this is saying is we have 2 X values. We need to go find the Y value. So we're saying from 0 to 16, my X value. So when X is 0, what's Y? 0. Well, I'll leave that as a note, and then over here we'll write them. 0, 0, 16, comma, 48. So we're being given an interval. This is not an ordered pair. So just pause right here. So far we have defined variables and we've got our 2 ordered pairs. That third line of work is going to be our focus. So change in Y divided by change in X equals what's going to be up top?
0 minus 48.
We can do that, sure. 0 minus 48. What's in the denominator? So we get negative 48 divided by negative 16. Good. Now, on the type 3s passed in on average rate of change last week, I saw people get here, but then they got lost with how to do labels. So that's where putting this in the front really helps, because watch. When I trace back, what's up top? And what is y all about? Points. So I know 3 points. And then if I trace the denominator back, what's in the denominator? X, minutes. Yes, on average, 3 points per minute. Very good. For the first 16 minutes of the game. What was their average rate over the whole game? How are we going to figure out the whole game? First and last. Very good. So we're going to use first. Let me change the color. First and last. Do I need to redefine variables? We're still under the same scenario. If I had a different scenario, yes. We're still under the same scenario. So we can just jump to ordered pairs. So 0, 0, 32, 64. What should I write right here to start the work? Change in y divided by change in x equals 0 minus 64 divided by 0 minus 32. Negative 64. Yep. 2. What's the label again? Points per minute. So this first answer was roughly the first half of the game, and then this is the whole game. Given your answers above, which half of the game do you feel they had a better rate of scoring? First half. Yep. Scoring 3 points per minute in the beginning. Towards the end. Less. And we know that because as the game went on, their points did not increase per minute, it decreased to 2. Okay, last but not least, parallel, perpendicular. So now I'm given a function. What's the slope of a line parallel to this one? Good job. Exact same. No work needed other than correctly identifying 2. Perpendicular, there's 2 pieces. We need opposite and reciprocal. Jeffrey? Good job. So the way they found that, let me move this over a little bit. To answer these questions, we have to realize we have to hone in, really only pay attention to M. So that's it. I know M is 2. Mx plus b. So by first number, as long as you mean what's next to x. So f of x equals mx plus b. The slope will always be in front of x. So for a parallel line, it has to have the exact same slope. What has to be different for parallel lines? Side note. Same slope, different y-intercept. For perpendicular slope, opposite, because this is positive, now it's negative. And then the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. Very good. So you have from now, just keeping an eye here on time, 9:17. You have about 15-ish minutes to wrap up your type 3s. If you're done with the type 3, find somebody and start comparing answers with each other, and I will be around to answer your questions. When we have about 20 minutes left of class, I will stop you and we will take our quiz, all right? Nice job on the notes. These notes are for you to keep so you can use them on your type 3s. And this little intro will be online for tonight if anybody wants to watch it again. Good job. Let's get to work.